Welcome to Low End Candy. I am Bohemoth, and today we're going to make a dope, fire 808 track completely out of Ableton stock plugins. Let's get into it. Before I hopped in, I wanted to mention that I'm currently doing one-on-one mentorship lessons on AbletonLiveTeacher.com. Working with a mentor is the best way to accelerate your path to becoming a better producer. Also, at this point, I'm releasing new videos almost every other day, so toss me a like and subscribe. They're appreciated. Thank you very much. So here we have just a basic 808. It can be any 808 that fits in good with your genre, anyone at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a frequency splitter. The basic semantics of processing an 808, the easiest way to explain it is you always want your sub frequencies, the actual low frequencies of your 808, to be clean, meaning no saturation, no reverb, no processing really. You want them clean, you want it low, and you want it in the middle. In order to affect just the top ends of the frequencies, what we're going to do is we're going to grab a frequency splitter, which all it is two auto filters cut off at 250, one's a low pass and one's a high pass. So this allows us to keep our actual sub frequencies without being processed and add stuff to the top end. The reason why we're doing this is because if you've ever exported a sub and it didn't sound good, the most common reason is probably because very few systems can produce sub frequencies good. You have a good system in your car, you go to a festival, they have the subwoofers, or you have a studio subwoofer. But in cases like when we're working on our iPhone or listening to something, or on a system that's not that great, it doesn't really do that great of a job of reproducing the sub frequency. So for that reason, if we beef up the mids and the higher frequencies of our sub, that's what allows us to hear it and allows it to sound big on systems that don't necessarily have capable subwoofers. So what we're going to do is first thing, we're going to add some saturation. So just an Ableton stock saturator. So already we can hear it has those added harmonics in the mids that's really kind of bringing it out. Next thing I like to do specifically in my genre is add erosion. So erosion gives the illusion that the speaker is almost blown out, in my opinion. Gives that fuzz on top of it. So I'm going to add noise. I'm going to crank it up and I'm going to put it in the higher range. So we got that saturation, we have that erosion. Let's kind of A and B this real quick. So we have these two versus. Now once we process the mids, we can go over here to our chain and we can dial them in. So if we want a little less, we can just turn the whole mids section down. Or leave it. Another thing I like to do on our mid section is boost the air. So we don't really want a ton of like mids. We just want that little saturation and fuzz in the mids, but we don't really want it so much that it's competing with our mid-range elements. But we do want some really high end. So what I do is I literally just crank up the very highs. I'm talking like 10K and above, all the way up. Might even duplicate this. So now it gives that air, that top end to it. And now, like we talked about, we wouldn't typically put reverb on the lows. However, now that we're working on the mids, we can add a little bit of reverb on it. And once again, now that we're not abiding by the law of the lows only, we can actually add some stereo imaging. So what we have is we have our dense, low frequency directly in the middle, and we're going to spread the stereo image of the wides a little bit. So we have our lows right in the middle, and then we have our mids kind of on the outside a little bit. And then the last thing I would do is probably go ahead and just add an EQ at the end of the chain. And we're going to use this to kind of shape it a little bit. I typically always cut out the very lows of my sub. It's kind of just noise. It doesn't really equate to anything we need. So right where this line is at, you can just chop that out. And then some compression. We want to tame that peak a little bit. Quick attack. Quick release. Pretty high ratio. So this is a pretty dope sounding sub, I think. It's got that kind of trappy buzz and the size to it and everything. The last thing you could do is you could actually clip it. K-clip's an excellent one. And the last thing we're going to finish with is a limiter. So we went from a pretty dry sub, pretty dry and boring, to now we have the sub, the mid-range, the erosion, all that. Quick little 808 processing for you guys. I hope this helped. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Mark.